I recently became aware that um, there's a way in which we can express knowledge that goes beyond the traditional way in the times we live. Um, a couple of years back, a colleague of mine highlighted that if we look at engineering, then the engineering process is often a representation of the knowledge of a particular person. So, for example, in the chemical engineering world, a process for example, I know that creating powder titanium is a process, and it took a lot of effort. The chemical formula, the process, the pressures, the heat, everything to figure out how to make powder titanium. But after that, they developed it into a process, and somebody wrote it up as a process, and they built this plant. And the plant does the following things. And even the people building the plant didn't necessarily know exactly what the all steps were. They didn't know the chemistry, but when they followed the steps, they got the same results. So effectively, the process captures the knowledge of the individual, the chemical engineer. The same if you go in a manufacturing plant, like let's say the production line, as Henry Ford did it. He could then have people that had lower technical ability, but they could build these Model T Fords because this person only needed to do the wheels, and that person only needed to install the engine and so on. And so he could have lower skills as well in the process, but the process implementation gave the same result, so his knowledge was captured in the process. Now, in a similar way, engineers and scientists goes and they develop an algorithm, and the algorithm is effectively a process. If we say, I have an algorithm that I go to the coffee machine, I'll say, stand up from your desk, turn left, walk down the corridor to the end, turn right, go up the steps, turn left, and then you'll find the coffee machine. And then I can even have a procedure for making the coffee. And that is also a procedure or a process which we define as an algorithm, and we can define it in pseudocode and so on, so on, so on. But all of these captures our knowledge of what we're doing. And to a large extent, for many cases, our knowledge is for knowledge to be expressed, we had to implement it on a large scale with a company and so on. But I recently realized that in the life we live in, there's a new way of expressing knowledge. There's a new method that has arisen, and that is an app. Now you'd say, what? Well, with the current setup, I think we have to some degree gone beyond vibe coding, where vibe coding is like, there's this other word called AI slop, which is for me a bit of a harsh term, but where with vibe coding you got this thing that kind of works. But if we capture our thoughts in a algorithm, in a process, and we take that process and we write it out properly, then today we have tools that the process you can convert into a structure for software, and then you can get one of these AI systems to generate the software for you, and now you have an app. And that app you can give to somebody and they can use it, and that app could have the exact method, the intention, the process, the algorithm that you had in your mind that captures your knowledge implemented in that app. And although that person may not understand it, they get the value of it. For example, let's say you have a particular method of developing a fitness or a fitness routine. But if you implement that, program that knowledge into the app, you may have the mathematical or scientific aspects, and you didn't necessarily know how to code it. But now it's available that you can convert it to an app, and suddenly your knowledge, you can monetize your knowledge. In the same way, you could have an understanding of an engineering process and a complex and highly structured engineering process, and you can write a piece of software. And you don't have to be a company that implements the software, but you can take that software, you can take that and thereby either sell your idea and show somebody this is the idea I have, or you can actually monetize that idea. And I think this gives us opportunity. It's next level implementation, next level knowledge capture, and next level knowledge expression. Where can we take this? How far can we go with this? To what extent can we take our knowledge and realize that capturing the knowledge in the app, writing that software, gives us exposure in a way we've never done before, in your company, outside the company, in your own company, in whatever way you can. You don't have to be an engineer to do this, but you also must realize that suddenly the gap of expression, because you has kind of been removed, because you don't have to be able to write software. You just have to be able to express your knowledge in a structured way. What are your thoughts? Has anybody been able to do this? Anybody been able to effectively structure their thoughts and monetize their thoughts, perhaps, or convey it to other people? Let me know.